I'm very privileged to have this opportunity to speak to my fellow Chicagoans and to catechetical leaders in the Archdiocese of Chicago. And I want to thank Kenneth and his whole team of folks for inviting me. I really enjoy working with them. And I used to work in that office. I used to be in the catechetical office years ago before it became Office of Lifelong Faith Formation. So I have a very high respect for people who do this job. I've been doing this for over 40 years. I love what I do. I love working with people like you, with catechists. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask, so first of all, how many of you are in a leadership position of some kind? Catechetical leadership, okay. And how many of you are catechists? A number of you are catechists too, okay. Notice I did not say you're just catechists, all right? Catechists have a bad habit of doing that and say, well, no, I'm just a catechist. We're going to talk about that this morning. There's no such thing as just a catechist. It's a very special vocation. And so what a pleasure it is to be able to gather and talk about how we can grow our catechists, how we can take care of our catechists as well. So I want to start off by asking you to think about something. Some of you may have been at a presentation I did in Vicariate 4 a year or two ago in which we had this little conversation, but I want to start off with this because it gets us thinking about our catechists. And the question is, and I've actually written about this on my blog before, can robots serve as catechists? And so I like to pretend, this following scenario. Imagine that I came here today and said, Kathy and I got up here and said, we're so excited, Loyola Press got a grant for $100 million to create robots to be catechists. And we're so happy you won't have to recruit catechists anymore. They're just these little guys will wheel in, and they know the catechism inside out and upside down. They know church history. They know all of our doctrine. They won't make mistakes in any way, shape, or form. Wow, what a wonderful gift we have for you. Your reaction, please. How many of you say thumbs down? Let's hear why. Just shout out.
Robots are not merciful.
They're not personable, yes.
Merciful. Often discussions go a different direction. You just don't go on one path.
That's right. Very good. Yes.
They can't share the human experience.
Yes. Experience. Very good. What else? Yes.
They can't echo faith.
They can't echo faith. Yes, sir.
They can't really teach what they believe because they're just saying words.
Okay. They can't shift course. In other words, they can't read the room and say, this isn't working, I better do plan W. Right? As many of us do. What else? Yes? No feeling. Right? Very good. What else?
They cannot create relationships.
They cannot really have relationships. Okay? We could go on and on. Yes, one more.
They really don't know God.
They really don't know God. Thank you. They can talk about God. They can spout information about God, but they don't know God. All of this to emphasize just how important our catechists are. You know, as catechetical leaders, that we're just not out to recruit any warm body to fill a spot. Sometimes we're so desperate we feel like that's what we might have to do. But we are looking for very unique, special people who are called to enter into this vocation of being a catechist. And as we said, a robot cannot be divinized. Human beings, be divinized means to become like our Creator, to live in the imago Dei, the image of God. Catechesis is so much more than simply conveying information. If that's all it was, then let the robots have it. They would do a superb job if all it was conveying information. But it is an apprenticeship in a lifestyle. and everyone's lifestyle is unique and different. Every catechist is unique and different, and every child and adult that we teach is unique and different as well. And then finally, only a human being can truly accompany other human beings on this journey. I have said many times, and I'll say it again to this group, catechists are not teachers of a subject. They are facilitators of an encounter. Catechists are not teachers of a subject. They are facilitators of an encounter. A robot is not going to be able to facilitate an encounter because a robot cannot encounter the mysterious presence of God. And yet we human beings have a way of encountering that which we cannot see. You know, in the Creed we say, we believe in one God who's creator of all things visible and invisible. There are invisible realities that a robot could not detect, but you and I are able to be in contact with the invisible presence of the Holy Spirit in our lives. And so it's with this in mind that I set the context for what we're here for today and what we're going to be doing in terms of taking care of our catechists. Our new directory for catechesis tells us that catechists are not only teachers, but they are also mystagogues. Go back to your parish and tell your catechists, you are mystagogues. They'll say, what? They are capable, and it's their responsibility of leading others into mystery. Robot cannot do that. We need human beings who are in touch with the Paschal mystery in their lives and are able to invite others to enter into that Paschal mystery. So we don't teach a science where we are facilitating an encounter with mystery. All of that to say that we better take care of our catechists, okay? You're familiar, I hope, with the old tale, the fairy tale, of the goose that laid the golden eggs. And the owner of that goose got a little greedy and said, hey, you know, why wait for the eggs to come? Let's just cut that goose open and take out all the eggs. And off we go to the bank. And he cut open the goose and there was nothing there. He had lost the ability to produce the golden eggs. Folks, our catechists are the geese that lay the golden eggs. They are the ones who provide for us the riches of the grace that touches the lives of people. It is our job as catechetical leaders to take care of them. In fact, I would go as far to say it is one of our primary jobs. I know, having been a parish catechetical leader, that a lot of times catechist formation ends up being more something we hope we can get to, something we hope we can convince people to come to or to partake in. It almost becomes something like frosting on the cake. You know, we've got all these other things to do, many, many responsibilities, and they're all very real. But then we sometimes push taking care of our catechists off to the side as though it's an afterthought. And I learned, one of the greatest lessons I learned in parish was the better care I gave my catechists, the higher number of them that returned year after year. If I made them a priority, and every time they gathered, they sensed that I was taking care of them, often feeding their stomachs, right? You often feed your catechists. There's something to that. But always feeding them with resources, opportunities to grow, going with them to workshops and seminars and things that I didn't have to go to. I had been to those 30 years ago, but to go with them, to be with them, to walk with them, to accompany them. Year by year, more and more the catechists were staying because they felt they were being fed, they were being nourished. And that's our goal for today, is to talk about how we can nurture and feed our catechists. Our directory reminds us that it must be a priority that dioceses must devote sufficient energies and resources to the formation of catechists. And that's why today Loyola Press has teamed up with the Office of Lifelong Faith Formation, because we are passionate about this. We believe that this is indeed a priority. And the folks at the Lifelong Faith Formation Office are working to provide you with tools that you can use to nurture your catechists. And at Loyola Press, we're doing the same thing, and I've devoted much of my career to caring for catechists. Last Saturday, I was in Lake County. Who's here that was with me on Saturday? Some folks. What a wonderful time we had, and I was telling several people about how it's a Saturday, it's 75 degrees outside, the sun is shining. We could all be somewhere else, but who's there? 100, 125 catechists. I said, I am never pulling teeth when I give presentations. It is such a gift to go and to be with people who want to be there. And the same holds true today. No one held a gun to your head and said, you must go to this thing, unless your pastor did, I'm not sure. I know Kenneth didn't. I don't think you're that afraid of Kenneth that if I don't go, I'm going to be in the doghouse. You came here because you want to take care of your catechists and you want to see what's available. The directory points out to us that this formation should be three-dimensional, well-rounded formation, that we need to form our catechists in the areas of being, knowing, and doing. The directory actually uses the word and savoir-faire. Church loves highfalutin language. Being, knowing, and doing. And let me just go through those briefly, and then I'll tell you what we're going to be doing today. The first one, so again, catechist formation must be three-dimensional. And these three-dimensional dimensions are part of all of our faith formation efforts for catechists. So first of all, being. This simply means taking care of catechists for their own sake, for their own vocation, for their own spiritual wellness. I don't know if you realize this, but many of the catechists that serve in your program look to you, the leader, as their spiritual mentor. They probably don't say that. They probably don't articulate that, but you, as a catechetical leader, are most likely the most important contact they have with the church. The single most important contact they have with the church is you. And that's why they often come back year after year, because they know that they're being fed by you. They know that you're taking care of their very being. You're helping to make sure that they are becoming closer and closer to our Lord and deepening their discipleship. So that's the first step, and this is where we're going to focus our energy today, just on the being. And sometimes this gets neglected. Sometimes this is thought of as fluff. People are like, oh, that's just a bunch of, how you feeling, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, this is at the very core of our being. Are we healthy spiritually? Is our relationship with the Lord alive, or is it dormant? Does it need a jump start? So this is a crucial role that you play. The second aspect, and this is where I spend a lot of my time and a lot of my writing, is in the knowing. Catechists want to know that they're smarter than a fifth grader. You know, that's often one of the things that they are concerned about when you ask them, you know, I'd like you to become a catechist. I think you'd be great. They're thinking, what do I know? You know, I don't think I know my faith that well. Last, class I went to was my own 8th grade confirmation. And so catechists want to know, and they need to know better so that they can articulate our faith to those that they're teaching. And then finally, the doing. And this is again where I spent a lot of my time in my formation of catechists and in my speaking and my writing. Can we deliver? Can we teach catechists how to deliver in such a way that is engaging? Not entertaining. We don't teach our catechists how to become entertainers. But can they engage? All of us can probably think of teachers that we had either in grade school, high school, college, who we could sit and listen to them all day. They were just so engaging. And then I think, there were also that handful of teachers we had that you couldn't wait to get out of their class because they were smart, but they were so boring. I had a history professor back in my undergrad days. He would teach from the podium. And he would look at 2 things while he was teaching. His notes, blah, 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 and the ceiling. That was it for an entire hour. He was brilliant, but he had no savoir-faire. He didn't know how to engage. And so we spent time helping our catechists learn how to engage young people and adults. So, as I mentioned, we're going to be spending our time today talking a little bit more about the being part. But I want you to think of catechist formation as being parallel to someone entering a novitiate of a religious order. We have a number of religious people here today. Raise your hand if you're in a religious community. Okay, sisters, yes. Yes, give them a hand. Imagine this scenario. These good sisters, back when they came to join the convent, that they responded to an invitation, they showed up, and the person in charge welcomed them, gave them perhaps their novitiate habit, or the collar if they were one of the guys, and then said, good luck. Good luck. And just sent them on their way to do ministry. The sisters would have said, aren't you going to form me? I want to become a Jesuit, a Salesian, I want to become a Felician, I want to become a Franciscan, I want whatever it is you want to become. It's like, how do I become that? You have to form me. The order that invited them in owes it to them. And have they delivered? Have they been forming you? Sisters, your order, your community forms you. Folks, I want you as catechetical leaders to think of yourself as the director of the novitiate. You have invited catechists to enter a religious community, a different kind. It's basically a lay-led organization, but it is a religious community, and now we owe it to them to form them. That was one of the greatest insights that I was given when I was a parish DRE years ago. I remember sitting down talking with a catechetical diocesan leader from Florida. And I was telling him, we were talking about catechist formation. And I said, yeah, I don't know, I'm not real big on the catechist formation. It's really hard to get them to come, and it seems like an annoyance to them. They got so much to do. And he said, oh, no, Joe. We owe it to them. We owe them catechist formation. That was a change of mindset for me. Now, it was still hard to get them to come. That's always going to be a challenge. But the mindset was no longer, I'm going to try to get them to jump through hoops of some kind, but I and the church owes it to them. They have responded to the call to live out their baptism as a catechist. We have to form them. And so that's the mindset that I'm offering for you today.